Make sure you download the Woodward Sports app in the App Store and the Google Play Store today. Take Woodward Sports with you wherever you go and listen live on your phone or mobile device.
Good morning, everyone, and thanks for joining us on the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. Also featured on the Roar on 99.1, 93.5, and 94.7 HD2. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We have a special guest, Sawyer, with us today.
We have Sawyer in the building today. Mm-hmm. I love his hat.
What hat is he wearing?
You know what? He has like an insane hat collection, by the way.
I want to see your hat now.
It's the Tampa Bay Rays hat.
Yeah, nice Tampa Bay Rays hat.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's just every day he brings like
Fire
some
hats.
next level hats. I at least appreciate it here.
See, I appreciate it. Like, I'd wear the nice hats, but I'd get critiqued. You know what I mean? Like, because I need.
Yeah, well, look at your hair. Nobody
you have
has
great
hair
hair.
like you, Jeff.
Justin Spiro's in the chat.
It's an offensive.
No.
You offend people when you wear a hat.
All
you
they
have
want to
like
see
this,
is that flow.
This flow of hair that people would die for. All right?
I got very good
You're not
genes.
allowed
I'm
to
very
wear
blessed.
a hat.
Very blessed.
Next
the
time you wear a
Italian
hat on the
genes.
show, we're probably going to can you.
The minute you get a haircut, you can't.
All right. Let's get the show rolling. Let's talk some Detroit Lions.
Let's
okay?
do it.
A lot of off-season moves. Obviously, everybody is aware. Are they going to cut Trey Flowers after June 1st? What are they doing in the NFL draft? Trading up, trading back? Who knows? But there's one player I want to talk about specifically, a guy who was, third on the depth chart?
Yeah.
And just worked his way up, and that's Tracy Walker. And it's funny because, yesterday we had a conversation of why, I believe taking a safety at number 2 is, 1, irresponsible, 2, it's not the right move. But, Jeff, is Tracy Walker a must-sign player in the offseason? When I say must-sign, I mean you pay him whatever it takes to keep him in the building. Mm-hmm. Not, should they? I think we can all agree we want Tracy Walker back. But when I say must-sign, it's, are you willing to pay what his asking price is going to be? And again, we don't know his market value right now. You can estimate it, right, given the current safeties and what they get paid.
Yeah.
But you don't know what his ask is. Is he a must-sign player, Jeff?
I would say must-sign's tough. I wouldn't say must-sign. I would say you don't have to find a way to sign Tracy Walker, considering you're at a part of a rebuild now where you don't want to start losing depth. You have Tracy Walker, a very respectable safety, a guy who, one of the highlights of not only Matt Patricia and Bob Quinn's regime, they drafted him in the 3rd round, but this year in general, like he's been holding it down. He barely misses really games. The question is, what is he going to ask for? And it's an interesting question because you don't want to overpay Tracy this early, but at the same time, you want to know what his market is. And if you look at the market for free safeties next year, it's plentiful. You have guys like Marcus Williams available, other guys like Keanu Neal. Obviously, there's tons of veterans. You have Quandre Diggs, Devin McCourty. There's going to be a market for safeties. So the question is, I'm wondering what that market for Tracy Walker is, a guy of his talent. I love Tracy. I think he's a guy that you want to keep. But at the same time, I mean, to find a guy like Tracy Walker in the 3rd round, you can do that. You can find safeties and find very talented safeties. But I think this early in the rebuild and where the Lions are at, this is the part where you want to keep guys together. You have Tracy Walker. You identify pieces you like on this team. One of them's probably Tracy. One of them, again, another one. Alex Anzalone's a good one. Germ, other guys. Like this is the part of the rebuild you're going to have to identify. And I think Tracy Walker's definitely one of those guys. The biggest question is, I want to see what Brad Holmes does in his mindset. Are you going to jump the gun, overpay Tracy Walker, or are you going to hold pat and say, all right, Tracy, maybe there's a market out for you. We'll let you walk, and maybe he's got a trick up his sleeve, through the draft or whatever it is. But in my opinion, to answer the question, he's not a must-sign, but he's somebody that you definitely want to try to get signed because you don't want to lose a guy like that this early.
Well, let me give you the top 7, again, safeties in the NFL. This is from PFF, okay?
Yep.
Number 1, Minkah Fitzpatrick, obviously. Number 2, Tyrann Mathieu. Number 3, Justin Simmons. 4, Budda Baker. 5, Harrison Smith. 6, Marcus Williams. 7, Jesse Bates. And if you want to put Tracy Walker in the top 10, I'm not even bringing those players up for that reason. What I want to bring up is that Tracy Walker was selected 82nd overall. Mm-hmm. That's value. You can find a Tracy Walker. You don't believe me? Jesse Bates, Cincinnati Bengals safety, 54th overall selected. Marcus Williams, 42nd overall. Harrison Smith, 29th, end of the 1st round.
But still.
Budda Baker, 36th overall.
Yeah.
Justin Simmons, the 3rd best safety in the NFL, 98th overall. Tyrann Mathieu, 69th overall. And of course, Mika Fitzpatrick, 13th overall, the higher of the group.
Yeah.
But the point is, and I don't want to go into Kyle Hamilton too much. You know, we did it yesterday, but
it ties back to this.
value.
Yeah.
Your job as a GM is to draft value. You know why the Rams are so successful? Because they trade away their first-round picks for ready-made guys, right? They don't even bother with the first round. You know why? Because in the second round, they'll grab a Cam Akers. They'll grab Van Jefferson later on. Greg Gaines in the 4th, 5th round, who is an impact player. Guys, you win Super Bowls drafting from the second round on. The first-round players, you just need them to work, right? But the 2nd to 7th round guys, Michael Thomases of the world, Antonio Browns, there's value all over the NFL at every single position. Now, at the quarterback position, that's a first-round draft pick position. You don't stumble across a 6th-round Brady, a 4th-round Dak Prescott, a 3rd-round Russell Wilson. That doesn't happen so often, right? That's why you take them in the first round. But you can find safeties that can develop into top 10 talent, like Tracy Walker has developed, and he was selected 82nd overall.
Yeah. It's been proven.
Now, to answer the question, Tracy Walker, is he a must-sign? I don't think he's a must-sign. Again, I think you can find value later on in the draft.
Yeah.
I just do. And it's not because I have anything against Kyle Hamilton, who I think is a very good prospect, or anything against Tracy Walker. It comes down to the simple fact that there are 31 NFL teams outside of the Detroit Lions that not only believe in this method, but have been successful with it.
Yep.
Brad Holmes knows what he's doing. I will leave it to him to make the decision on Tracy Walker. I don't think it's the biggest need of the offseason. I know Funky in the chat brought up Evan Brown, the backup center. I think that is a very important signing. I will agree with him there.
Got to bring him back.
But again, when we are talking about the safety position, yes, you have to be athletic, but you have to be able to tackle in the open field.
Yep.
And there aren't really safeties out there going for 7-8 interceptions a year. You know, ball hawking safeties like an Ed Reed, like a Troy Polamalu, running up to the line of scrimmage, jumping over linemen, making plays. NFL has changed. Now, if this was 20 years ago, you take Kyle Hamilton number 2 overall. We're in a different game now. And that's why Tracy Walker, selected 82nd overall, can develop into a very good safety by year 3, year 4. That's the NFL. That is value. That's value. And for me, I think the Lions here, whether they sign him or not, kind of irrelevant. They're going to be getting a lot of cap space freed up after June 1st. There's a lot of decisions to make. Tracy Walker could be one of them. Honestly, I don't even expect them to move Okudah to safety. I don't even think that's the play. I think you line him up at corner and try to get the best you can out of him. So, yeah, you want to sign Tracy Walker. I don't really have a problem with it, but how much is he asking for?
And
if we're going into the top 8, top 10 of safety money, well, from my perspective, and you guys can call me ignorant, but if I'm a GM and I have the option of signing Tracy Walker for, let's say, $10 million a year, let's say that's his asking. Hell, let's say 9 or 8.
Okay.
Okay? Let's say that's his asking price. Okay. I took you in the 3rd round. Why can't I just do that again? Why don't I just take a guy in the 2nd round, 3rd round, 4th round, or an undrafted free agent, and they walk in, or I pick somebody off of waivers that can give me similar production? Again, even Jalen Ramsey, who I think we can all agree is the best corner in the NFL, struggles to guard and contain wide receivers. There's not a safety, and again, I'm going to read this list back one more time. Out of these 7 safeties, you tell me which one had such tremendous impact that if they weren't on their teams, they would be a completely different team. Minka Fitzpatrick, Pittsburgh Steelers, I believe, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, TJ Watt is the X factor on that team. Tyrann Mathieu, he didn't show up this year. Justin Simmons, very good player out in Denver. Very good. How'd Denver do? How many games did he win for them? He doesn't. That's not that position. It's not the value in today's NFL. Budda Baker, right? Everybody loves Budda Baker. Where was he down the stretch for the Arizona Cardinals when they were collapsing? Huh? Where was he against the Detroit Lions? Harrison Smith, Marcus Williams, by the way, free agent this year. He's going to get paid.
Yeah.
Jesse Bates, the Cincinnati Bengals safety. He was in the Super Bowl. Did you hear his name called on TV? I didn't. And again, it's not that the safety position isn't important. Every position on the field is important, don't get me wrong. But the way the rules are set up today, you as a defensive player in the secondary are set up to fail. You're not allowed to grab a Cooper Kupp or Tyreek Hill off the line of scrimmage. They're running in motion now starting off. Like, they get a head start on you. And again, I always go back to this. The wide receiver and quarterback know the route, they know the concept, they know what they're going for. You are reacting. You are already a step behind. It's tough to play the secondary position, corner and safety. And the safety has more responsibilities. They got to take away the deepest part of the field away from the quarterback, all the while stepping up to the line of scrimmage on run plays and not getting baited into a play action where they get beat deep. I mean, it's a tough position to play, but it's not the X factor position. Why did the Rams beat the Bengals in a game where really the Rams struggled on offense because, well, they lost OBJ, Tyler Higbee, Blanton, etc. The list goes on. You know why? They didn't have a run game. Well, because they got to Joe Burrow 7 times.
Yeah.
And they hit him about 11, 12 times. And if Joe Burrow had a clean pocket and was only sacked 3 times that game, the Bengals are Super Bowl champions. Not because of Jalen Ramsey, not because of Taylor Rapp, not because of Eric Weddle. No. Because of the front 7. That's why. How do you cover up a bad secondary? A very good pass rush. That's the NFL today. Sorry. Don't like it? Can't help you. Maddie, we got to go to break. When we get back, Richard Sherman, center of attention yesterday on Twitter, let me tell you. I mean, he came out and said some things. And you know what?
He's not.
When he first said them, I wasn't like, oh, Richard Sherman.
No.
I got out the pitchfork, no.
He had a point.
But his point, I think, lacked context.
Yeah.
And I hope to bring that along with Jeff in the next segment.
Yes. We'll talk about that when we get back. But first, Jeff, we were talking about your hair earlier. Can you please tell us who cuts your hair for you?
Yes. Well, Lady Jane's, guys, let's be honest, they'll take care of you. And not only that, as guys, we like simple stuff. And also, now that football's over, we still like things uncomplicated. So, like Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, walk in, sign in, sit down, and before you know it, you're handsome and clean. Get to Lady Jane's, open 10 to 8, 7 days a week. Walk in anytime because it is wicked awesome.
Hi, my diamonds, it's Crystal with an X. You want to get hot and perfect like me? Here's my super easy routine. Drink at least a gallon of water before you wake up. Attach a weight to everything in your house.
Hello?
Sell your car and just sprint everywhere. Scream when you exhale.
Don't follow Crystal with an X. Do your own thing at Planet Fitness with tons of equipment and free fitness training in our clean and spacious clubs. Join now for just $10 a month and cancel anytime.
Your Detroit alternative to the normal sports blah, blah, blah. It's Woodward Sports.
Welcome back. Thanks for joining us on the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. Guys, Richard Sherman came in hot on Twitter yesterday, if you will.
He did.
Calling out Matthew Stafford on the Hall of Fame talks. What do you guys think?
Adam, you could start with this, but I want to say this. I don't think he's far off. I just think context was important. Like, he didn't mention he wasn't done playing. And I agreed with his point, though, about the Hall of Fame and how, especially a lot of players have been saying that as well, that, maybe they feel like the credentials have been lowered a little bit. But, Adam, please explain where the context was missing, because everyone needs to know this.
Richard Sherman brought up his lack of Pro Bowls, All-Pros, MVPs. Okay. Now, I'm going to ask a question because I love to ask questions, obviously. And I really want you guys to think about this because what I'm about to bring up, I think is very, very important in terms of context.
Yeah.
When we talk about context. And I'm going to address the years from 2011, Matthew Stafford's first full season, up until 2017. We're not going to, I don't want to talk about the Patricia years. His quote-unquote entering his prime. 11 of 17. What was Matthew Stafford? Why didn't he make Pro Bowls? Why wasn't he an all-pro quarterback?
Yeah.
What was he doing? He must have been really bad. No. Let me put it into perspective here. In 2011, he dragged one of the worst, if not the worst, playoff roster to the playoffs on the road into New Orleans in 2011. He was third in the league in passing and third in the league in touchdowns.
Why wasn't he all-pro?
He was not an all-pro quarterback that year. Okay? 2012, second in the league in passing yards. Top 10 in touchdowns. Not an all-pro. Okay? Third in passing yards. Sixth in touchdowns the following year. Not an all-pro. Not a Pro Bowler. Hell, forget the all-pro, not even a Pro Bowler. 2014 to 2015, down years. He was only top 10 in both categories. I believe it was 9 and 9 across the board. He was 9 both years or 9 and 8 the other year, one of the two. 2016, sixth in passing yards out of the top 10 in touchdowns, so I really can't make a case for him in 2016. And then, of course, he ends it with a bang. 2017, third in touchdowns, or excuse me, third in yards, fourth in touchdowns. May I ask you, does that not sound like a year in and year out Pro Bowl player? And may I remind you, in that time span, from 2011 to 2017, Matthew Stafford led the NFL in game-winning drives with 30. That was more than Brady, Breeze, Rodgers, etc., etc.
Oh, so
now,
saying,
what's the difference?
Yeah.
Why is Rodgers getting Pro Bowl nods? Why is Breeze getting it? Brady, etc., etc. And why is Matthew Stafford just now in LA getting all this attention? Oh, well, he played for the Lions. And in those 7 seasons, he was 57 and 55. He had a winning record. He had a winning record in those 7 years. He dragged them to the playoffs 3 times. And of those 7 years, one time he actually had a very good roster, 2014. 1 of 7 years he had a good team. Again, I basically, out of the 7 years, 5 of them, he was in the top 3 in 2 of the most important statistical categories, passing yards and touchdowns. Was never selected to a Pro Bowl. I don't even care about the All-Pros. Because, yeah, he was going against Breeze, Rodgers. I get it. And I get Richard Sherman's point, and I think he actually makes a good point, but it lacks context. Because the guy was, we always discuss, and Richard Sherman said this, when was Matthew Stafford ever regarded as one of the best quarterbacks? That is a fair point.
Yeah, that's a fair
right?
point.
That's fair, and I actually agree with him. I actually do.
Yeah.
But he was part of the upper echelon for 7 straight years. But nobody talked about him because he played for the Detroit Lions. He leaves Detroit for 1 year. He is now the best quarterback in the NFL. He has had the best statistical season in NFL history. He's tied with Brady for the most touchdowns regular season and postseason by a winning quarterback, 50. He's the first Super Bowl winning quarterback to throw for 6,000 yards. The best fourth quarter quarterback, 14 touchdowns, 0 interceptions in the fourth quarter. Money time, he's been money all season. He's been at his best when his team needed it to be. You going to argue with me that Stafford wasn't the best quarterback in the NFL this year? Oh, was it Rodgers? Was it Mahomes? Oh, was it Brady? They're all sitting at home. While he's still playing in the playoffs, leading his team on game-winning drives. And in one postseason, he has 3 game-winning drives. While Aaron Rodgers, in 21 playoff appearances, has only 2. And he was a favorite in a majority of those games. So yeah, Richard, you're right. He doesn't have MVPs. He doesn't have Offensive Player of the Years. He doesn't have all pros and Pro Bowls, even though I think the Pro Bowl is a joke. But the guy was competing in terms of yards and touchdowns year in and year out with Brady, Breeze, and Rodgers. Those were the only 3 that could equal or outduel Matthew Stafford in those 7 years. Breeze, Brady, and Rodgers. Those are the 3 guys. Those are the 3. So yeah. Is that not good company to be in? Ben Roethlisberger didn't do what Stafford did in those 7 years. Russell Wilson didn't. And again, you want to call his stats inflated? Okay. Did he have to come from behind more often than not because it was the Lions? Sure. I'm willing to entertain that.
Yeah.
But he's
winning.
Part of the top. Again, I'm going to say it again. In 5 of the 7 years, he was top 3 in the 2 major categories that you look for in a quarterback: yards and touchdowns. What do we say to that, Richard? That's the context that you're missing. And I think the biggest puzzle, or the biggest answer we've been granted and really blessed with this year, is the question was, could he win the big game? Could he deliver the division? Could he win a playoff game? Could he lead his team in the fourth quarter? He answered all of that, Richard, in 1 season. You don't hold back against Drew Brees for his rough start to his career. Why? Because he had Sean Payton for 13 years. 12, 13 years, or however long it was. You don't talk about L.A., or excuse me, San Diego at the time. We don't bring that up. We don't bring it up. But he's 1 year removed from the most dysfunction and chaos any quarterback could ever deal with, which is being the quarterback of the Detroit Lions. And he delivers everything a quarterback could dream of. Look, is he a Hall of Famer? Richard, you can say no today. But what are you going to say in 4 years, Richard? Where he's still a Super Bowl champion, he's damn near 70,000 yards, 500 touchdowns, then what? Oh, it's an inflated passing league? Really? Really, huh? Well, what about Russell Wilson? What about Drew Brees, who played in the most passer-friendly league of all time? Why don't we hold it against everybody except just the one guy that was able to escape a bad situation and actually succeed?
Right.
I don't get it. Look, if you don't want to put him in the Hall of Fame, yeah, I'm okay with that. But you can't tell me if he plays another 2, 3, 4 seasons, you're going to have that same argument. You're just not.
No.
You're holding on for dear life right now. And the facts are, he's a Hall of Fame player. Now, is he a lock? Maybe not for you. For me, he is. But that's just my opinion, and you can have yours. But I think the Hall of Fame talk, yes, not only premature, but you brought this upon yourselves. I didn't come up here and say, Hall of Famer right away. But you want to ask the questions, that's the answer, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
So yeah, Jeff, I think Richard's missing a ton of context when it comes to Matthew Stafford's time in Detroit, because I could argue, well, Richard, you played along the Legion of Boom. You had Russell Wilson. Mm-hmm. You had a head coach. You had a GM. You had a stable organization.
Great players around you as well.
And you were able to become great when, Richard, if you were just the guy getting 6, 7 interceptions every year, but your team wasn't winning a game, you think people would consider you for the Hall of Fame, buddy? Nah. How fair is that to you? Individually, you were an outstanding player.
In great organizations.
Matthew Stafford was an outstanding player in the worst organization in NFL history. You're going to hold it against him? That's fine. Be my guest. I don't see him retiring from LA along with Sean McVay anytime soon. So you can hold on for dear life saying he isn't right now. But, Jeff, I think eventually he will be.
Yeah, I agree, absolutely. I think the context he was missing, and he forgot to mention this as well, that we're talking about in 5 years. I mean, Matthew's, 34 years old. He probably has a good 5 years left. He's going to be with Sean McVay for the rest of his career, assuming he does that. He's going to end with an above 500 record. So this whole, Eli Manning ended with a near 500 record, and people are already considering him with the Hall of Fame. He's a 2-time Super Bowl champ. Talk about his statistics all you want. 2-time Super Bowl champ, and he has a career 500 record. Stafford will end with a above 500 record, and he'll end in top 10 in passing yards, passing touchdowns, completions. He'll be closer to top 8, top 7. So if he does all of that, he has all the statistics. You're going to pull he doesn't have a Pro Bowl, which, okay, fair. But at the same time, we have to look at context and where he was. It's like trying to tell a good employee for a bad company he's a terrible worker. At the end of the day, it's who you're around. It's like telling a good feature in a song and saying, well, it's a bad song, bad feature as well. No, it's mostly who you're a part of. And with the Lions, he was already, fighting against a lot of things coming his way, a lot of, adversity. Now, does that resolve Stafford from any blame from the Lions? No. I think it's 80-20 Lions. But at the same time, you're going to discredit a man who, in his first year with the Rams, won a Super Bowl, who's clearly had the most impressive impressive statistical season in probably in NFL history. And talk about the interceptions all you want. The guy's a Super Bowl champion now, and he played well in the playoffs. 14-0 in the fourth quarter. He was the most clutch quarterback, and not only this year, but he's been for a very long time. So you're talking about a guy who's always been clutch, a guy who's going to end with an above 500 record. He's going to be top 10 in multiple categories, passing yards, touchdowns, and completions, and he still has a good 4 or 5 years left with Sean McVay, where he has an opportunity to accumulate even more accolades, possibly an MVP. If he will be able to do so, or an All-Pro, Pro Bowl. He'll be able to stack the awards. It's not really. It's the context that Sherman was missing. I mean, you're talking about never considered the best in any years he played. At least Matt Ryan has an MVP. Is kind of a lazy argument. I mean, at the end of the day, Matt Ryan has an MVP, but he's also nearly done. Like Stafford has a lot of prime years left, you'd say, for a quarterback. So he still has an opportunity to get MVP and stack up Pro Bowls, all pros, with a winning organization. So I think it's a lazy argument to say he's not going to make the. I mean, listen, anybody who's saying he will not make the Hall of Fame, for whatever your argument is, I respect it. But at the end of the day, he's not done. And I think that's the biggest thing I took away from it. He's got a good 4 or 5 years left before he hangs his cleats up. And then you'll be able to decide, is he a Hall of Famer? Because the stats won't lie to you. And the accolades probably won't either.
I just pointed out in 5 of the 7 years where Matthew Stafford, quote-unquote, wasn't getting enough Pro Bowls and All-Pros, the guy was top 3 in all the major categories. But he's not a Pro Bowler. He's not an All-Pro. He played for the Detroit Lions. How more clear can that be? Mm-hmm. Who was a better quarterback this year, Aaron Rodgers or Matthew Stafford? Who was a better quarterback, Brady or Matthew Stafford this year? Now, I think that argument is probably a lot more closer because only Brady had more yards, more touchdowns. Yeah. But Matthew Stafford was the best in the fourth quarter, man. Guys talking about all the time in basketball. MJ in the fourth, clutch. Okay, yeah. Again, it matters. It does matter. And while they're all sitting at home watching him win, we're sitting here having a conversation about Richard Sherman. Richard Sherman, who was a very good corner, who was one of the best corners in the NFL for a certain amount of time, yes. Mm-hmm. But I just gave you guys 7 years. For 5 of them, he was in the top 3 in the major statistical categories. And over the whole 7-year span, he was top 3 in totals. And what are we doing here? He was only second and third to Breeze and Rodgers. That's good company. He was better than everybody else. But again, he played for Detroit, 57-55 record. 3 playoff appearances, 0 playoff wins, 0 division titles, all facts. I can't disagree. But does context not matter? I'm asking. Does context not matter? Does it not matter when there's a guy playing? We didn't hold it against Calvin. Didn't hold it against Barry. And look, I know they were supremely gifted at their position. But I think you're seeing a guy in LA that's supremely gifted. Now, is he the greatest quarterback of all time? No. Nobody's saying it's Montana or Breeze or, Brady. No, that's not the conversation. It's not at all. But he's at least entered the discussion for one of the better quarterbacks we've seen in our lifetime. Now, is he top 5? No. Top 10? No. He still has years ahead of him. I don't even want to discuss that. But I think it's pretty sad that Stafford now has equal amount of Super Bowls as Richard Sherman. But he's not a Hall of Famer, right? Even though his numbers match up with any quarterback in that stretch. Right? I get it. Oh, he didn't make enough Pro Bowls. It wasn't all-pro enough. The fans vote on the Pro Bowl. Give me a break.
You know what?
Popularity contest, all-pro, you make a good point. Right? And you know what? He can also say, well, yeah, he didn't make an all-pro over Breeze and Rodgers. Last I checked, Breeze and Rodgers were the 1, 2, and 3 seed year in and year out, and not just because of themselves. And if you truly believe that, I don't think we can have an honest conversation. Because if you want to tell me that you put Stafford on those Packer teams, those New Orleans Saints teams, and they don't win the same amount of games, I think you're lying to yourself. I really do. And then we can't have an honest conversation. Maddie?
All right, guys. Well, we got to go to break. But when we come back, We're talking about some more about Matthew Stafford. Did Brad Holmes get it wrong? But before we go, we do need to hear about Cintron, please.
Yes, guys. Well, Cintron, I'm drinking it currently. Very delicious. I tell you guys this every morning. Wake up with Cintron, because I do. And Cintron World is an aspirational lifestyle beverage brand with a line of sparkling flavored energy beverages, premium bottled water, and revitalizer shots. Cintron is the official energy drink of the Red Wings, proud partners with the Detroit Pistons, and exclusively served at Little Caesars Arena. If you're looking for premium ingredients, long-lasting energy, balanced hydration, essential vitamins, and great taste, Cintron is your top choice. Buy online at cintronworld.com. Use the promo code RedWings10. Save 10% with shipping included. Remember, drink it, live it with Cintron.
Everything that we've hoped for, finally.
He's going deep, right side. Oh, that is Edwards out there. He goes up in the air at the goal line.
Hey, it's Brad Edwards here, wanting to welcome the sports marketing agency to Woodward Sports Network, to the family. Glad to have you guys. For the last decade, the sports marketing agency has literally leveraged athletes around issues such as mental health and substance abuse.
It's all happening now.
Woodward Sports. Missed part of the show today? Watch again on YouTube or download the podcast anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Welcome back. Thanks for joining us on the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. As always, make sure you're following us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, and Twitch, downloading the app on Apple and Google Play, and always listening to us on podcasts wherever you may listen, whether it's Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts, or Amazon Music. Guys, we talked about this a little bit before. Do you think Brad Holmes got the Matthew Stafford trade wrong?
No. They had to trade him. Obviously, Stafford, whatever you want to call me, Stafford defender, worshiper, I don't care at this point. People can say whatever they want. You had to trade Matthew Stafford. You were going into a clear rebuild. You had just gotten rid of Quinn and Patricia. You got 2 first-round picks for him. Not bad. For a guy, again, at the time, unproven, hadn't won a division, hadn't won a playoff game, had a losing record against winning teams. These are all facts. You got 2 first-round picks for him and a third-round pick. Now, of course, the hindsight people. And I'll ask a question, because I think asking questions is better than saying, oh, what if? But if I told you that if you trade for Matthew Stafford, LA, if you are Les Snead, Jeff, or any of you at home, you're Les Snead. If I told you, if I came to your house late at night and I said, you trade for Stafford, you'll win the Super Bowl next year.
Easily.
What do you think he would be willing to give up? 2, 3, 4 first-round picks. He gave up 2. It's not bad. I don't think Brad Holmes got it wrong. He wasn't going to build around Matthew Stafford. That's not a thing. That was never going to happen. They were going into a rebuild. It was the right trade. You got draft capital. You brought in a quarterback that, look, to be honest with you, 5 years ago, people considered him elite. He's just fallen off a cliff. I'm not sure why to this day. I think that's one of the most puzzling things I've ever seen. A guy that came in, Sean McVay, MVP candidate, Super Bowl, and then he goes and turns into an average quarterback. I've never seen it before. Usually you see it because of injuries, but this guy, perfectly healthy. You got a quarterback, 2 first-round picks, and a third-round pick. Brad Holmes made the right deal. There's no regrets in the deal. I really don't have an issue with the trade, Jeff. I don't. No. I never saw a problem with it. You had to trade him. Sorry, Detroit, you couldn't win with him.
Yeah.
Your problem. Not Stafford's, not Brad Holmes, not Dan Campbell's. Your problem. You couldn't win with him. And he proved it 1 year out. Proved it 1 year out. You never gave him a front office. You never gave him a GM. You never gave him a head coach. You never gave him a roster. You never gave him a defense. Oh, excuse me, 1 season out of 12. Yep, I forget. We're only going to focus on the one time your argument is right and not the other 11 times. I get it. It's fine. I like how that works. Jeff, I have no problem. I think Brad Holmes made the right decision. I'll continue to defend it.
Yeah, no problem. I think the question I would ask people would be, and I know it's hindsight, and at this point, the Rams are now Super Bowl champions, but at the time, you had that offer in Carolina. But the biggest question, and people want to say, I'd rather have 2 first-round picks in the draft. We could add Penei Sewell, Micah Parsons. But the question is, and you had Matthew Stafford, he didn't want to go to Carolina. He wanted to go to L.A. Clearly, that trip to Cabo changed his mind, changed what the Rams wanted to do. And obviously, it was never a for sure thing he was going to the Rams, but you got to look at the deal. Look at the deal deal itself, look at what he wanted to do. You had to treat Matthew Stafford, do him right. And him wanting to go to LA, it made absolutely perfect sense for me. Yes, you would have had a top 10 pick that year. You could have taken Micah Parsons. But in my opinion, now you have 2 first-round picks stretched out. You'll have more assets next year. If there's a quarterback you like, you'll be able to trade up if you like. So in my opinion, they made the perfect trade. Perfect destination, the perfect trade partner, an organization that has went all in and hasn't had a first-round pick. And when they do get one, it'll be 7 years. So an organization that wants to buy in, it was perfect. I got no problem. And the biggest part of the trade is getting Jared Goff, getting someone that, average quarterback, bridge quarterback. We talk about it all the time, but someone who can keep your ship afloat, if you will. You at least have the position figured out until you find your next guy. So I think the trade all around was perfect. It was perfect for both sides. You gave Matthew a chance to go compete for a Super Bowl, and he did just that by winning it. Arguably could have won MVP, him, Donald, and Cooper Kupp. So I got no issue with it. And honestly, this is the best trade that could have happened for both sides. Now, and I'm not even just saying hindsight. Even if they didn't win the Super Bowl, just in terms of what Matthew wanted to do, the best deal for the Lions, I'm not the guy who's looking back and saying, all right, we could have had Micah, we could have had Penei Sewell. I think the bigger question is, you did Matthew Stafford right, and you helped out your organization. So I love it. I got no problem with the trade. I never have. I've never really had an issue with it.
If you guys want to say the winner and loser, you can't say that yet, because you know what? The Lions haven't selected a player with the Rams 2 picks yet. Well, 3 technically.
Yeah.
So now, if 2 of the 3 Rams picks turn into Pro Bowl players, I think it's a fair trade. Hey, they got a Super Bowl. We got some Pro Bowl players. We built our team. We actually have a respectable team now. We're going on and we're continuing with our lives. Great. I'm not objecting to that. But I don't even want to go into the future. I don't even want to have an expectation on the picks. What I see is 1 + 1. That's it. Simple it. Dumb it down as much as possible. You traded away the quarterback. You were going into a rebuild. What do you need going into a rebuild? Draft capital. You got 2 first-round picks, a third-round pick, and on top of it, a bridge quarterback to keep you afloat and make you respectable for the next few years. That way you don't have to rush into drafting a quarterback.
Right.
What do you know? It's not a bad situation. It really isn't. And I know people came out, especially in the Detroit press, which was actually shocking to me, Detroit media, saying, Brad Holmes, it seems like, he hooked up his old boys. Really? Yeah, look, the Rams have shown their model. I don't think most teams can replicate it, but they don't need first-round picks to win. You know why? Because they're aggressive. They nail their picks from 2 to 5 in terms of rounds.
They draft well.
They just draft well. They know how to compensate for it, guys. And they don't have to pay a safety. They don't have to pay linebackers. And then they go get the guys that nobody wants in the middle of the year, and then you all tell me it's a super team, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that funny? They did it with no run game basically all season. Come on. Let's just call it what it is. It was a good trade. I tweeted it a year ago. It was the best birthday gift anybody could have given me.
Call a spade
I'm being
a spade.
serious.
Yeah.
It was the best birthday gift.
Mm-hmm.
For obvious reasons. He had a losing record here in Detroit in terms of against winning teams.
Yep.
He never delivered a division, yes. He never won a playoff game, yes. But you know what? 2 of those 3 playoff appearances, he dragged your sorry-ass team to the playoffs. 2011 and 2016, he dragged you there. And don't tell me he didn't in 2011, especially in 2016, where 8 of your 9 wins came in fourth-quarter comebacks. Don't you dare. 2014, he had the defense, he had the personnel. I will give you that. 1 sequence in a 12-year event. 1 where I can say Stafford, and that was really part of my frustration, is like, yeah, how do you walk away without winning anything that year? That was really frustrating. But that doesn't tell the whole story.
Yeah.
And I would be lying if I sat here and told you 2014 defines Matthew Stafford. It doesn't. Don't forget about 2011, 2012, 2013, 2015, 16, and 17. Don't forget about that 7-year gap outside of 2014. Oh, do I have to remind you that Martin Mayhew and Jim Caldwell, aren't they in the Hall of Fame? Oh, they're not. They're C- average people, individuals. They're not Sean McVay. They're not Les Snead. Come on, guys. Come on. We have to be honest here. And if you're not willing to be honest, I'm not sure what else I can say to you this morning, or what I can do to really have a conversation with you, because I'm trying to have a conversation. I really am. I'm not trying to put you guys in a position where you feel like you're being cornered. No. But again, you should have been excited the day they traded Matthew Stafford, because you were never going to do anything with him. And in 1 year, he proved that, right? Is this a fact now? Come on. Super Bowl, division, NFC champions, best fourth quarter quarterback all season. Does that not matter? Oh, it does, actually. And that was always the point when he got traded. I was so happy he got traded. You weren't going to do anything with him, and he was not going to do anything here. No quarterback has ever been able to deliver here. And he's really been only your first one outside of Bobby Lane back in the day. So don't even start with me. If you couldn't win with that guy in the building, I think you kind of know whose fault it is. Now, is Stafford solely, is he dissolved from any blame? No, he made mistakes. He had the ball in 2014 against Dallas. He didn't go down and score. They had the ball on 4th and 1. They refused to go for it. Like, it's not just all on the Lions, but it's a huge part of it, an 80-90%. I gave you 2011 to 2017. You had a winning record with him. 30 of the 57 wins he gave you were via game-winning drives. Yeah, you tell me the team was built around him. You tell me. Not sure what else I can say this morning. It's the Lions ownership group, their front office, their horrible decisions for a long period of time. And yes, Stafford, throughout his time, frustrated you with interceptions, frustrated me 100%. Guy drove me nuts sometimes. But I'm not willing to not accept not only new information, but I'm willing to change how I think. And I think a lot of you need to work on that. It's a trait, it's a skill. It's not a bad thing. I'm willing to acknowledge Matthew Stafford did not deliver in 2014. Yes. But that does not tell the whole story. It really doesn't. Maddie, we got to go to break. When we get back, I want to switch gears. I want to go to the NBA, actually. Last night, I saw a team lose by 50, and I saw a dude drop 50 and 21 shots. It was kind of impressive. The NBA is becoming unwatchable. And I really want to know what Jeff thinks.
So do I. We'll talk about that when we get back. But first, we need to hear about Guardian Alarm.
Well, Guardian Alarm, guys, let's be honest. We're discussing defenses, and the Lions, they might have had one chance in all of Matthew's 12 years with a good defense. Guardian Alarm constantly gives you chances. And Guardian Alarm, they get it. Good defense on and off the field. Helps you feel secure, and Guardian Alarm has state-of-the-art technology that helps you feel safe, all with 24/7 local monitoring. Guardian Alarm also has convenient features, lets you check in on your home. You can control lights and temperatures or detect smoke and carbon monoxide. It will even let you lock and unlock your doors. Call 800-STAY-OUT today. That's 800-STAY-OUT. Guardian Alarm has been trusted for over 90 years at keeping families safe.
Hi, I'm Kay Cunningham. I'm proud to partner with HOF Financial, the mortgage company known for 5-star service. Don't just take my word for it. Check out their 5,000 5-star reviews for yourself. Go to callhoffirst.com and get started with your 5-star experience today.
You don't have to go to the beach, man. You don't have to get your butt crack full of sand. You just need a little chili peppers, man, to get that glowing beach chili peppers.
Monday, February 21st from 11 to 1 p.m. Join Woodward Sports and Big D Energy for the grand opening of the Berkeley Chili Peppers Tanning on Woodward between 11 and 12 Mile. Come hang and join the Pepper Club. Best deals on unlimited tanning.
You just need a little chili peppers, man.
Follow us everywhere. Just search Woodward Sports on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, IG, and more.
Welcome back. Thanks for joining us on the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. Jeff, I don't even know which one you want to talk about first, whether it's the 76ers losing by 48 or Giannis dropping 50 on the Pacers. You pick.
The NBA has been interesting. And, we'll start with the 76ers. Obviously, they made the trade. They acquired James Harden. We know this. And, whatever you think of it and whoever you think won the trade doesn't matter. But what matters is the NBA right now. And, the biggest thing for me, and when I've loved the NBA and found it was the most watchable, is when you had multiple teams that were able to win a championship. Now that Brooklyn's broken up, and before then they can never stay healthy. But the fact of the matter is, the Lakers aren't doing very well this year. Good, giving other teams in the West more opportunities. You have the rise of Memphis. You have the rise of all these other teams. So honestly, the NBA right now, the 76ers losing last night, I think was just honestly what it is. The 76ers got absolutely blown off the floor. They still don't have Harden playing, and nobody on the team was hitting any shots. I think Joel Embiid, just to give you an idea, a guy who's an MVP candidate, had a minus 34 last night. So they didn't play very well. You can get that through your head. It was an absolutely atrocious night. I don't even know if bringing James Harden, yes, he'll bring offense, but he ain't going to help you defensively. I mean, he's not going to come in and help you stop 135 given up by the Boston Celtics. So that's not the point. I think the NBA right now, I'm excited. I like the trade that Philly and the Nets did. I think it'll provide more equality, especially in the East. Like now you have James Harden, Joel Embiid. Now you have Ben Simmons with Kyrie and KD. You still have the Bucks, who should be the finals favorites to get back to the finals. They look spectacular, especially Giannis, just dominating like he always does. So right now, I think the NBA is taking a little hurt because the teams that fans usually, big fan bases, they're not just playing as well. Like the Lakers, usually when they're in contention, and that's just all around sports. So you have the Boston Celtics, you have the Lakers, you have those iconic franchises, and the Boston Celtics have been playing better. The 34-25, they absolutely obliterated the 76ers, but I think it starts with star power in the NBA. That's what it's driven by. It's a players' league. It's not like the NFL where you look at it and if a team's playing well, their fan base is all electrical. It's like the Rams this year. They went to the Super Bowl. You have teams like the Bengals rising. You got Cincinnati getting hype. In the NBA, it's more player-driven, and you got to have superstars. And I think spreading around superstars like they've been doing the last couple weeks with trades, you have James Harden on the move, Ben Simmons. I think it's good for the NBA. So right now, how do I fix the NBA? I got no clue, because right now I don't think it's never going to top NFL. And as of right now, just how it is, it's tough, man. Like, you got LeBron, who's usually in the conversation, usually on a very good team with the Lakers. With the Russell, that's a dynamite. They're not going nowhere this year. You have the Warriors, who finally are back. I'm so thankful Clay's back so you can watch them again. But at the same time, it's like, it looks like the two best teams this year are the same teams that were the best teams last year, the Bucks and the Suns. So that might be a part of it as well. So I don't know. I think the difference is in the NFL, you have teams every year that can be different, that are contending, that are surprising everybody. And the NBA, it's kind of consistent, and that's never really a good thing. Like the Bucks and the Suns being the best teams this year, I don't think it's good for basketball, but I don't know. We'll see. I don't think James Harden going to the 76ers either puts them in finals championship contention. So at the end of the day, man, it is what it is. The NBA, can it be fixed in terms of making it more watchable? I don't know. I think the only thing saving the NBA is really star movement, and we've seen a lot of that. So I think that's really what it is, Adam. I don't think the NBA is going to – there's nothing I can tell you right now to make the NBA just watchable. Like, really, what can happen? You had James Harden move. You have Ben Simmons move. The Lakers suck. Warriors are playing very good basketball. The Suns are back. It's just like – it's nothing new for NBA fans, if that's really the answer. Like, there's nothing you can look forward to. It's the same thing. You got the Suns, you got the Bucks. That's probably going to be the two finals teams this year again.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't help that the Pistons suck, right?
And the Pistons
if the Pistons
suck.
were good, I wouldn't say the NBA is unwatchable, but it's pretty unwatchable right now, even as a neutral. Let's say I didn't even support the Pistons. Who am I tuning into every night? What, Steph? They play at 10:30. I'm not staying up till 1 o'clock.
You're not a fan of the NBA, Adam.
Absolutely not. I think the NBA is a joke. It's actually, I think, the worst league out of all the professional sports.
Whoa.
I think it's football, hockey, baseball, basketball.
Huh.
In terms of is it watchable? Can I flick it on, turn it on, any game on the TV and watch it? And you know what? Yeah, I can. Obviously, any NFL game. I mean, the NFL is king, but I'll turn on a hockey game and watch 10, 15 minutes of it. I won't even acknowledge a basketball game. And obviously, I'm watching Tiger games. So whether they suck or not, I watch them. That's just my opinion. I think the NBA is the worst league. I think it's so unwatchable. It has no good storylines, no good narratives. Super team this, super team that. KD bitching about something else new every single day. Kyrie still thinking the Earth is flat.
Well, that's
doesn't
never
want to
gonna
take
change.
the vaccine for the cause, even though it would clearly help everybody on his team, and they could actually play together and actually compete for a championship. But who cares about that? Everyone has their own personal beliefs. I won't tell people what to do, but that is the consequence of your actions.
Mm-hmm.
That's all the NBA is. It's always politics, right? China, COVID, civil rights issues, which I think are important. Don't get me wrong. But Jesus Christ, man, when we talk about the NBA, I'm never talking about the game. And my job, this is sports talk. I want to talk about the game. What has LeBron given me this year to talk about? What, that he has inflated numbers and that they're 9th in the West right now, I think, or 10th?
Yeah, they're a mess, the Lakers.
And that, well, he's carrying them. All right, well, he's in year 19. How do we? It's not even a
That's
LeBron
the
thing. It's
AARP
just,
team.
the only thing I can talk about LeBron is that this idiot wanted to have a joint parade with the Rams and the Dodgers. Shut the hell up, dude. You make it so hard to like you. And not like you, like appreciate you as a basketball player. LeBron makes it so difficult. He just does. Sorry. Maybe that's a really bad answer. I don't know. That's just my interpretation of LeBron James. I think he's one of the greatest players of all time. Top 2 minimum. Minimum top 2. He makes it so hard to like him and root for him. It's so easy for me to root for Giannis. It's so easy for me to root for Steph.
I think part of that, too, is the attention he brings. And like you're saying, like Steph and Giannis never bring attention to themselves. And I will say this, although I agree with your point about the leagues, I don't think the NBA is the worst. Right now, I think it is. But usually, in general, to me, like the NBA, it really hit basketball and hockey are like neck and neck for me. And now, personally, it changes based on the individual. But I think the biggest thing for the NBA and the biggest problem, they have to find a way to make the regular season more watchable. Because
it's not. They gotta either shorten it.
I'm telling you, once the playoffs come, NBA, we're talking about the playoffs.
Oh, we will be.
But of
playoff
course,
basketball's different,
right? Like that's the problem. Like, and they tried adding the mid-season tournament. It never got approved, which I'm glad it didn't. But like you're saying, you're absolutely right. Like right now, there's no storylines. Like what the? You had the Lakers, who the storyline with Russell Westbrook. What are you gonna talk about? They suck.
Guys, I hope you guys are understanding the point. It's unwatchable. It's not that it's the second most revenue-generating league in the United States. It has nothing to do with that. We know how valuable owning an NBA and NFL team are. It's not the point. Are you enjoying watching the NBA right now? I'm not. I'm really not. And that's why we're having this conversation. I'm not enjoying watching basketball. It's not fun. It's boring. It's slow. Who are the superstars? Giannis? Who else? John Morant? How often is he on TV? Especially in this market.
Right. Yeah,
right?
That's the problem.
So yeah, come playoff time, oh hell yeah, I'm going to be watching some Grizzlies. Hell yeah, I'm going to be watching some Bucks. Sawyer, Sawyer, you're right. I'm going to apologize. I apologize to every single one of you. How could I forget LeBron James gave us Space Jam 2?
Oh, yeah.
The dumbest sequel. The most...
I still haven't seen it.
It's stupid.
Okay.
It's boring.
Is that a movie?
It's the dumbest storyline ever. His son, spoiler alert, his son joins the evil team, and he has to play against his son because he ignored his son because he's a bad dad.
I think people walked into it with different expectations than maybe I think a lot of grown men walked
That's
into
why
that
you don't
movie.
make a Space Jam 2 because the first one was so goddamn good.
Well, true.
Which, by the way, speaking of LeBron trying to play for son, he wants to play for son. Not a shocker.
Dude, he can play with his son in his backyard, man.
Wow. Okay.
Just retire.
Wow.
Just retire already, man. I'm so tired of it.
Outside with him.
Like,
I get you.
I had this feeling with Big Ben. He stuck around too long. Like, he just started to bother me. I'm sorry. LeBron's starting to bother me. Like, just retire, dude. Let me appreciate you. You make it hard for me to appreciate your greatness. Again, I think he's the second best player of all time. Jordan, LeBron, Kareem. That's my 3.
I respect that.
But why would he stop when they let him do whatever he wants?
It's an impossible league to watch. It just is. Yeah. And I'm a big basketball guy. I really am.
And the problem is, what's the fix? You don't have one, really. Like, I don't know how you can. I think the biggest thing that's kept the NBA alive is player mobility and guys moving, changing destinations. But right now, it's like.
I mean, this comment, I love you, Rumble. Everyone who's saying the NBA is unwatchable is hilarious. The West Coast teams are a treat. That's the point.
Right.
We're having a conversation in the East Coast, dude. Aren't you out in Arizona? Aren't you out in Phoenix? Aren't you out in Nevada? I forget where you are, Rumble. You're on the West Coast, buddy. You can watch and you can go to bed at night and still get 5, 6, 7 hours of sleep not watching the Warriors, the Grizzlies.
Yeah, you can go to sleep with
that
a
doesn't happen
win.
here. Those games start at 10:30. They don't finish till 12:45, 1 o'clock.
There's something called recording the game.
But who the hell? Who the hell records a basketball game when I can go on any sports app, watch the highlights in 3 minutes?
So there you go. You got highlights.
But still, that's the point, Fish.
That's
Watchable.
the point. Who's watching the games?
Live. Who's
the
watching
Pistons
it?
can't even sell out LCA.
Sell out. They can't even get.
They can't even get 5,000 people to show up right now.
Okay,
I
the
don't know,
team's
guys.
bad. It helps the team is terrible.
Even when the Pistons play
where's
a
the
good team,
Kobe's of
nobody
today's
knows.
NBA? Huh? And I know he's one of the greatest ever, but where's the Kobe's? Where's the guys that it's like no matter what, he's must-watch TV.
Exactly.
He's on ESPN. Tonight at 10:30, Kobe's on ESPN. I'm tuning in. And maybe for 15, 20 minutes. I may not watch the whole thing, but I'm tuning in.
And it's going to be a
I'm
damn
not
good
tuning
15.
into the goddamn Pelicans. I'm not
What's
tuning
wrong
in.
with the Pelicans?
I'm not tuning into these games.
Zion's not playing, Fish. That's
And
why.
again, that's my point of view, my perspective. And I'm not going to disagree with any of you if you say, "Oh, well, Adam, I watched." That's fine, great. But I'm talking to you now. I'm having a conversation with you. I'm telling you my point of view. I think it's unwatchable. I don't think the league has superstars. Outside of who? Giannis? KD is too busy bitching all the time. I can't even take him seriously. He left Steph Curry for Kyrie Irving. Imagine leaving, I don't know, what's an example I can use? Imagine leaving, shit.
You'd be like,
can anybody give me like a top model right now out
I
in the
would
world?
say, you know what, personally.
Give me like a 10 out of 10 woman right now that is like on top of the world.
You could do like a, you know what, it's like leaving, Megan Fox for, Hillary Clinton. That's
Thank
kinda
you.
how
That is an amazing example.
Yes.
It's like leaving Megan Fox for Hillary Clinton.
like that. You just don't do that,
That's what he did.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I mean, that's like dating Beyonce or being married to Beyonce and be like, you know what, man? I'm leaving you, girl. There's this chick that works at Hooters. Let me tell you. 5'2", 217 pounds.
Can I tell you why he left the Warriors? You know why he left the Warriors?
Yeah, he wanted to try and win by himself.
Well, no,
And it didn't work.
Because he's a
very
bitch.
similar to actually exactly the same as Kyrie Irving.
Because he's a bitch,
He
just like
wanted
LeBron.
No.
And he has zero
Well,
self-awareness.
I'm not gonna go that
and he's
far.
not as good as LeBron. And he's not as good as Steph. That's why. Because he knew he wasn't the leader of the Golden State Warriors. There was actually Steph. And without Steph, that engine would have never continued. Yeah. And you're seeing it now. 2 years, no Klay Thompson. He carries them into a playoff game, or excuse me, a playing game. And now they're a top 3, top 2 seed in the NBA in the Western Conference right now. Please. KD doesn't sniff the jock strap of either of them. He's not better than Kobe all time. He's not. He's just not. He's the most gifted player, maybe. Sure.
Yeah.
7 feet, can pull up from wherever he wants. But he will always be regarded in my book as a bitch.
Yeah, Adam, Max Smith put in the chat. The real answer is like dating Jimmy G and breaking up with him for your wife.
Listen, if I was stupid enough to date Jimmy G and let him go for my wife, you guys have every right to call me a dumbass and smack me across the face. Honestly, I'm questioning myself now. I may have to question my entire marriage. I might move to California and try to make this happen. Somebody's got to do it. God. All right. We got to go to break. I hope you guys enjoyed the conversation. Top of the hour coming soon. Top of the hour, I want to talk about, are the Rams the new way or the new model for teams to build championship rosters? And I don't think what they're doing is off the cuff. I've seen teams do it before, but is that where the league is going to go, right? Is the league going to trend in a direction where they're just throwing away first-round picks? I don't think that's the case. Maddie?
We will talk about that when we get back, but first we need to hear about Gypsy Vodka.
All right, guys, Gypsy Vodka, the smoothest tasting vodka on the market. Gypsy Vodka, locally owned and operated up in Petoskey, Michigan. Great people, great staff, and a great drink. Guys, check them out. It's gluten-free. It's Michigan's vodka. Ask for it by the name of Gypsy. And as always, don't be like Sawyer. Please drink responsibly.
He goes, whoa!
Hi, my diamonds. It's Crystal with an X. You want to get hot and perfect like me? Here's my super easy routine. Drink at least a gallon of water before you wake up. Attach a weight to everything in your house.
Hello?
Sell your car and just sprint everywhere. Scream when you exhale.
Don't follow Crystal with an X. Do your own thing at Planet Fitness with tons of equipment and free fitness training in our clean and spacious clubs. Join now for just $10 a month and cancel anytime.
Fellas, football season is here. It's time to make your grooming experience easy like Sunday morning. Get to Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. Walk in, relax, watch your favorite team play, and before you know it, your hair will be game ready. Get to Lady Jane's, open 10 to 8, 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome.
Live from Woodward Avenue. That's why we're called Woodward Sports. Detroit's radio sports network.
Welcome back. Thanks for joining us on the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. Also featured on the Roar on 99.1, 93.5, and 94.7 HD2. Guys, we have to talk about the Rams. Have they built the new way to build a championship team?
So, I want to start by addressing, I think, the narrative on the Rams, which I think is bogus, which is they bought their team. If you look at the Super Bowl matchup between the Bengals and the Rams, the Bengals had spent more money in the last 2 off seasons than the Rams. And I'm not talking by a marginal amount. I'm talking $70, $80 million in difference. The Rams, guys, and you know what's crazy? Guys, get ready for this, because it's going to hurt. You know me. I always do my research. I'm always well up to date, informed. I try my best to bring you a different, unique perspective every morning. The Rams, prior to hiring Sean McVay, are you ready for this? Had 10 consecutive losing seasons. In that 10-year stretch, they were about the same as the Detroit Lions. Oh my God. They were that bad. And you know what? Since they hired McVay in 2017, they've had 5 consecutive winning seasons. But it doesn't tell the whole story, right? Let's go back to 2015, where they drafted Aaron Donald. And then they drafted Todd Gurley. And then they drafted Jared Goff. And Tyler Higbee. And Cooper Kupp. And Gerald Everett. And Taylor Rapp. And Darrell Henderson. And Greg Gaines. And Cam Akers. And Van Jefferson. All without first-round picks. Aaron Donald, Todd Gurley, Jared Goff was the last first-round pick they had. The rest of the players are all 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th round players. And again, we talk about it. Are the Lions cursed? The Rams were one of the worst franchises from 2007 to 2017. They had 10 consecutive losing seasons. And Les Snead was a part of 5 of them, I believe, under Jeff Fisher. Woo! Woo! Let's go Panthers, baby! And you're telling me that they turned it around and have been to 2 Super Bowls in 5 years. It's not a curse, guys. NFL's made for parity. The NFL is made for parity. And why I'm talking about the Rams, since you want to ask, is because I'm going to go into the Lions next. And I really want Jeff's opinion on this. How is it that the Rams can lose for 10 consecutive years, not make a single playoff, not have a single winning record, not even finish 500 in 10 straight seasons? They are the bottom of the NFL. From 2007 to 2017. They hire Sean in 2017, and they don't have a losing record since. And they don't have a losing season since. And they go to the Super Bowl 2 out of the 5 seasons. And obviously they have now won 1. But overnight, they went from a 4-12 football team to an 11-5 football team. The NFL is made for parity. And you can have core pieces, right? Sean McVay walked into Aaron Donald, a young Todd Gurley, an awful Jared Goff who looked like he couldn't throw a lick. But you know what? Coaching matters, clearly. You don't believe me? Coaching and the great coaches make a difference right away. The very good ones make a difference right away.
Mm-hmm.
The good GMs make good decisions continuously, and they'll have their ups and downs, and they'll make a few mistakes, but 8 times out of 10, they're making the right decisions. So you're telling me for the Rams, they can go 10 consecutive losing seasons, and then when they make the right coaching hire, they propel into perennial Super Bowl contenders every single season. And yes, I know the Rams are not owned by the Fords. Obviously, I think that's the whole point. But isn't it funny that the Rams were less successful than the Lions were in that stretch? But look at them now. And I'm not talking this has been 7-8 years in the making. No. Day one, hired McVay, 11-5, 13-3, 9-7, 10-6, 12-5, Super Bowl. 5 seasons, all winning seasons. 3 division titles.
Mm-hmm.
What more can you ask for? What more can you ask for? And do I think Brad Holmes can do this? Absolutely. I do. It has nothing to do with Brad Holmes or really even Dan Campbell. But think about that, Detroit, the next time you want to tell me to wait 3 to 5 years for a rebuild. Think about that. The Rams had sucked for 10 straight years. Les Snead finally got the hire right with Sean McVay. They drafted a quarterback, propelled them to success. They drafted him before Sean McVay, but the point is that core was there, whether you like Jared Goff or not. They go and trade for the guy they think they need to get over the hump. They get over the hump in 1 year. They don't need the first-round picks, guys.
No, they don't.
They don't need to pick at 32. They don't need to pick at 27, 24, 25. You know why? Because they know how to draft in the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth rounds, because that's where you acquire depth. And if you can get a guy that can at least give you good production in the second to fifth round, that is more valuable than a first-round pick giving you the same production, because it's less costly. The Rams are doing something I think is impressive. And I think it's actually very difficult to do what the Rams are doing. And I don't think the NFL is going to go towards that direction. But I just want you guys to understand the difference between the Lions and basically any NFL team right now. So yeah, you can tell me wait 3, 4, 5 more years for Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell. Fine. I actually like Brad Holmes a lot. But if you're telling me with this schedule this year, this offseason you're going to have, where I believe Brad Holmes will have another very good draft, and he'll make good moves in the offseason, free agency, trades, whatever it may be, you're going to sit here and tell me this is another 3, 4, 5 win team next year? Unacceptable.
Mm-hmm.
The Rams were the bottom of the barrel for 10 years. They bring in the right head coach in 1 year. They're 11-5. The next year, they're in the Super Bowl. NFL's made for parity, Jeff.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And the last, neutral season they had before Sean McVay was 2006. So your point about getting the head coach right is absolutely right. And not only that, drafting well. Because we know the Rams, this will be the 5th year. The Rams don't have a first-round pick, and they won't have one until 2024. So until then, when you finally get to that point and you finally have a first-round pick, the Rams will go 7-year span without selecting in the first round. And it's crazy impressive considering how well they've drafted. That's the most important part, is what they've been able to do outside the first round. And I'll just read a couple off for you. The year Sean McVay was hired, obviously the year before they drafted Jared Goff already. So you had your quarterback. They didn't have a first-round pick every year since then. And what they've done, they drafted Cooper Kupp in the 3rd round. They drafted John Johnson in the 3rd round, which they lost to the Browns a year later. They followed it up with the next year. They didn't have the greatest draft. They have guys that leave, of course, but it's not about that. It's about drafting starters, and they did just that. The following year, 2nd round, Taylor Rapp. 3rd round, Darrell Henderson. 3rd round, David Long. They're getting more and more starters. Even Nick Scott in the 7th round, who was making plays in the playoffs this year. That's where the Rams separated from the rest of other teams. Yes, they're able to do this, and they're able to trade all their first-round picks. But if you're drafting guys like this in 2020, Van Jefferson in the 2nd round, Cam Akers in the 2nd round, you had Jordan Fuller in the 6th round, that's going to keep your team consistently trying to compete. They have great players, and they've done just that after, losing first-round picks. So I think that was the biggest part. And obviously we know the missing piece, hindsight 2020, was Matthew Stafford. But doing all of this and drafting correctly and putting guys that you don't have to find in the first round gave them an opportunity to go out and get a Matthew Stafford, get a Von Miller, go out and sign an Odell Beckham Jr. So to say, this team, and now don't mind you, this team was not bought. I know we mentioned that earlier. They have the 6th most homegrown players on the Rams, which among all NFL teams, they're obviously I just said it, the 6th most homegrown players. So to say they bought their team, but they also have the 6th most guys on their team they've already drafted, they haven't left. It kind of shows you both. They're able to do both. They can buy in when they absolutely have to, like they did last year, or they can just draft well and accumulate talent as it is. So it takes both sides. So do I have faith in Brad Holmes? Of course, because he was with the Rams when they drafted Cooper Kupp. He was a part of their scouting department. But there's multiple ways to build winners, and I think now you're seeing the Bengals do it their way. Obviously, you have a lot of guys on rookie contracts. You find your quarterback. You find Joe Burrow. There's very different ways to build a winner. I just think the Rams doing it, it shows, number one, how excellent you got to be in the drafting department, not only outside the first round, which, yes, the Lions have 2 first-round picks, but what can Brad do with the 2nd, the 3rd, the 4th, the 5th? He did it this year. The 4th round, he found Amon-Ra St. Brown. So that's the thing that separates good teams from great teams. Your ability to find talent, when you don't have a top 5 pick, when you have a late in the first round or the 2nd round, whatever the case may be. So the Rams' way of building, it isn't ideal, but it's certainly respectable, and they were able to do that by accumulating talent over the years and finding studs later than the first round. So they're very an anomaly organization. I mean, if you draft that well, then
and look at the background
Holmes
Holmes has, right? He was one of the lead scouts for the Los Angeles Rams. And look, guys, whether you like it or not, at the end of the day, the GM and the head coach get the credit. You know why? You know why they get paid the most? Because when people need to get fired, they're the first 2 people look at. Brad Holmes gets a ton of credit for Aaron Donald, Cooper, whoever it may be. That's fine. There's a difference between being a scout and a GM. Yeah, doing your job exceptionally and being an executive, 2 totally different worlds. Totally different worlds. So yes, Brad Holmes already in 1 year in Detroit has proven he has an eye for talent. Amon-Ra St. Brown in the 4th round was the steal of that draft. Unbelievable the production he gave the Detroit Lions towards the end. And if that didn't sell you on Brad Holmes, I can't help you. I'm already bought into him. I think he's the most qualified GM this franchise has ever had in its history, and he's been here less than 13 months. Says a lot about the franchise, but really says a lot about him and what he's delivered so far.
Exactly.
Now, is Dan Campbell the holding piece who builds, stacks picks? Because you have to remember, Les Snead came in with Jeff Fisher, and they sucked for 5 years. Kroenke never lost faith in Snead. They changed the head coach. The rest is history. And now he's a genius, and everybody's a genius. And now we'll see. Yeah. Is Dan Campbell that guy? We'll see eventually. But there's a difference between being the assistant coach and the head coach. Nobody looks to fire the assistant coach when things aren't going well. Nobody questions draft picks from the scouting department. No, they question the GM. He's held accountable. So don't sit there and tell me that Brad Holmes gets all the credit. He doesn't. You know why? Because he's not the one being held accountable at the end of the day. Don't believe me? Martin Mayhew listened to a head coach over his scouting department. Whose fault is that? Martin Mayhew. Not the scouting departments. Doesn't matter who. Les Snead listened to his scouting department. They all made educated decisions. Now they are where they're at. I have no problem with it. Maddie, we got to go to break. When we get back, this is a really interesting conversation. And it hasn't been reported, I think, maybe nationally. But could the Minnesota Vikings make a move for Deshaun Watson? And I'll tell you why they could after the break.
All right, sounds good. But before we go, I need you to tell me about MyBookie, please.
All right, guys, MyBookie. Bet from anywhere, anytime using MyBookie. Now, if you're an irresponsible gambler like Sawyer and you're out in the streets, listen, you got to call 1-800-270-7117, the gambling problem hotline, please. That is so important. But beyond that, Guys, take advantage of the offers. We're talking March Madness coming up in a few weeks, damn it. Dollar for dollar match using code Woodward. Sign up today. $100 in, you get $100 in bonuses. $200 in, you get $200 in bonuses. Guys, this is math easy as 1 + 1. Let's do it. Come on, again, bet from anywhere, anytime using my bookie. Use code Woodward. Don't forget to use it when you sign up. We'll see you right after the break.
It took exploring 50 different formulas and hosting countless taste tests, but we believe Gypsy Vodka is the smoothest vodka on the market. Don't believe us? Ask the owners.
We're Mike and Adam Kazanowski with High Five Spirits Distillery. We're in close to about 1,200 locations throughout Michigan. We wanted to create a brand that was geared more towards freedom, love, adventure, and at the end of the day, we really wanted to tell a story that inspired other people to take risks, follow their dreams, whatever that might be.
What's the over-under? Should I tease? Who is the lock of the night? Make sure you're watching Woodward Bets to get the latest in sports betting and more. Woodward Bets daily on Woodward Sports.
Welcome back. Thanks for joining us on the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. Adam, I know you said you wanted to talk about this one. So is it possible that the Minnesota Vikings trade for Deshaun Watson?
Hear me out.
I
don't know how possible it is, right? Because the legal situation. I don't have that information. I don't. But when I look at the salary cap factor, I mean, they're not far off. It's by $2-4 million.
Yeah.
That trade could happen. And you couldn't convince me Houston doesn't just want to move off Deshaun, acquire a few draft picks, get a quarterback in for a year or two. I'm not sure how many years. I think it's 2 years left on Kirk Cousins' deal. And then get rid of him and then draft their guy. Houston's got to go into a rebuild either way. If Watson's not going to be a part of it, get rid of him as soon as you can. And if I'm Minnesota, I'm willing to offer Kirk Cousins, a stud on the defensive side of the ball, and likely 2 first-round picks.
Yeah, you're going to need some first-round picks. Do you think that Stafford deal has a lot of effect now in what you're paying for quarterbacks?
But, I mean, with Watson, the legal situation, I may be able to get away with just giving Cousins a first and a second, maybe.
Yeah.
Who knows? Now, if Houston is stubborn, that's a whole different conversation. But when we're talking about can they? Is it possible? Theoretically, yes, it is.
Absolutely.
The cap works. And the Vikings have the capital. And more so than that, Jeff, I want to ask you this hypothetical. How would a Deshaun Watson trade to the NFC North reshape the division?
Oh, very. And we talk about if Aaron Rodgers leaves Green Bay, well, if Deshaun Watson comes to the Minnesota Vikings, it'll put you in a similar spot you were a year ago, which is now they're still a clear best quarterback in the NFC North. That was the whole question. You know, you have Jared Goff, which you like Jared, but if you're looking at who's the best quarterback in the NFC North, you have Deshaun Watson. Let's just have some fun. Let's say Aaron Rodgers stays. So you're going to have Aaron Rodgers, Deshaun Watson. We really don't know what Justin Fields is yet. You're hoping he doesn't work out if you're a Lions fan. And if he does, would that mean the Lions have the 3rd or 4th worst quarterback in the NFC North? As of right now, absolutely, he's better than Justin Fields. But I'm talking for the future. I don't know. You're going to have Jared Goff for another year or so. You don't know how Brad feels about Jared. But the big point is this is what you have to do. In the Minnesota Vikings, they upgraded. They know what team they have. If they add a quarterback into that mix, they're going to the playoffs. They're easily a playoff in contention. So the Lions, that just shows how important getting that position is in the NFL. Like, you got a guy like Deshaun Watson, a Matthew Stafford, does a lot for your franchise. And I think adding Deshaun in the NFC North, Adam, not only makes it harder for the Lions, but puts you in a position where you very well, I mean, unless Aaron relieves.
I'm just saying, it makes sense to me, guys. Forget just the quarterback aspect. Kevin O'Connell, another assistant off of Sean McVay, getting a head coaching job.
Yes.
You, as a quarterback, are going to be able to throw to Adam Thielen, Justin Jefferson. You have Dalvin Cook in the backfield. That's not bad. It's a better situation than Houston. So, yeah, I think Deshaun Watson would want to go to Minnesota. Now, again, his legal situation, do I know exactly what's going on? Why he didn't accept a deal a long time ago and just make this all go away? Hey, look, I'm not his lawyer, and I don't even practice law. Obviously. But the move makes sense, man. When we talk about you have to give up a ton of, it's a big cap hit. Both teams, are they equal in salary caps, or excuse me, in terms of cap hit? Yes, they are. They're not far off. You can make that deal happen. You can give up multiple first-round picks. If I'm Minnesota, I'm doing that. But that means I'm all in on winning now. And obviously, again, legal situation aside, I don't know what could happen. It could be resolved tomorrow in 9, 10 months, 15 years. Who knows? I don't know. None of us know. But I think it would shape the NFC North in a completely different way. I mean, we're talking Minnesota essentially being the favorite to run the division for the next 6 to 8 years. Even with Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. Because you know his time is ticking. And you don't know his future in Green Bay, honestly. I really think it's a move Minnesota should really consider.
And obviously, let's just get this straight. I mean, people are talking about this, and we know this. We know Deshaun Watson has a no-trade clause. This would have to be, obviously, if Deshaun's okay with it, but it absolutely makes sense. I mean, from both sides, Deshaun, this is what his no-trade clause reads. Clubs shall not permit to trade players' contract to any other club in the NFL during the 2020 to the 25 season without a player's prior written consent. So we know he needs to approve of the trade. The question is, can the Minnesota Vikings do it? And they can. Absolutely they can. There's going to be multiple teams that are going to want Deshaun, clearly. I mean, Deshaun, despite all the civil cases and the lawsuits, you know what Deshaun is when he's healthy. Like one of the greatest quarterbacks in the NFL. So the question we're asking is, can Minnesota do it? And to answer that question, they absolutely can. I think Lions fans, the result they want is far from Deshaun coming to the NFC North, but the reality is, man, Kevin O'Connell, this is what Deshaun wants. Let me read it. Watson is early in the evaluation process and wants to land with a team that features, quote, the right blend of offensive system, coaching, talent, and most importantly, a chance to win. Now tell me, with Kevin O'Connell, respectable guy, really respectable coach, great communicator, great roster already with Minnesota, something that they just need a quarterback. You have Justin Jefferson, you have Adam Thielen, you have weapons, you have Delvin Cook. So, my God, I think anyone should be worried if you're in the NFC North if Deshaun Watson comes here.
Well, I think you just said it at the end without saying it. Deshaun Watson wants to play for a winning team, correct? He wants to be in a winning situation?
He does.
Is there not a better division to take control of than the NFC North? Where two of the teams have not shown success, or at least much of it, in the last 10, 15 years.
Bingo.
Now, the Bears have had their moments, don't get me wrong, much more successful than the Lions. But you're probably going to be dealing with a rebuilding Green Bay in 2-3 years. Who knows how long it lasts? Detroit, are they going to be competitive next year? You have just as easy as a schedule, as easy of a schedule as the Detroit Lions have next year. A little more difficult because you were the second place team in the division, but still beyond the point. You get Deshaun Watson in Minnesota, they become instant contenders in the NFC. But they got to fix the defense. That is a thing.
Yeah.
But again, you got Kevin O'Connell coming in, a young, fresh mind. Not Mike Zimmer, old and stubborn. A guy that's going to be receptive to change. And I think Deshaun Watson clearly needs a change of scenery. And I think Minnesota would be willing to pay the price for Deshaun Watson.
I like what you said, NFC. I mean, look at that offense. Deshaun Watson, Delvin, Justin Jefferson, Thielen. I mean, you have a healthy Irv Smith out there. You have Tyler Conklin. They have a respectable offense. But like you said, defensively, they fixed some pieces on that side of the ball. My God. Minnesota's right back in the conversation. Obviously, depending on what Kevin O'Connell is, but we all have confidence in Kevin O'Connell. Like you said, receptive to change.
I have no doubts. If Minnesota wanted to pursue Deshaun or Russell Wilson, I think they could do it pretty easily, to be honest. I don't think they'd struggle doing it.
Mm-hmm.
They have capital. They have pieces on offense and defense. I'm sure they'd be willing to give up. Team's not far away. They're really not. And Kirk Cousins had his best year last year, and they still struggled. Why? Because he's just not that guy.
The it we talk about.
Yes. He's not that guy. Minnesota, you won a division with Case Keenum. Imagine what you can do with Deshaun Watson. Maddie, we got to go to break. When we get back, it's time to visit another team in the NFC North, the Detroit Lions. They hold a very special pick this year, a pick that was acquired from a certain trade that, I don't know if you guys remember, a quarterback was traded last January, on my birthday, actually. Ended up turning into the number 32 overall pick. What are the Lions going to do with that pick? And what are the options? Not only what are they going to do, or what do you think is the move, what options do they have at number 32? Trading up, trading backwards? What position should they be targeting? What do you expect them to be targeting? We'll get to all that after the break, man.
We'll talk about that when we come back, but first we need to talk about Planet Fitness.
Planet Fitness, guys, the new studio sponsor of the Woodward Sports Network. We can't thank them enough. A judgment-free studio, and of course, down at Planet Fitness, a judgment-free zone. Ladies and gentlemen, your fitness is essential. this year. Do not sleep on it. Your mental and physical health are as important as ever, whether it's through the pandemic, your work-life balance. It does not matter. Take it very seriously. $0 down, $10 a month is how you can get started at any Planet Fitness near you. Check them out. Again, your fitness is essential. Visit planetfitness.com or visit any local Planet Fitness to sign up today.
Make sure you download the Woodward Sports app in the App Store and the Google Play Store today. Take Woodward Sports with you wherever you go and listen live on your phone or mobile device.
YouTube, Woodward Sports is there. Facebook, Woodward Sports is there. IG, TikTok, Spotify, Google Play, app, radio. Woodward Sports is everywhere. Make sure you follow, like, download, and listen anywhere.
Welcome back. Thanks for joining us on the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. We're switching gears to the Lions. What options do they have at number 32 in the NFL draft?
I think the easy three, and I'll name three right now for you, and I've been high on number one being a wide receiver, because let's be honest, guys, I get defense used to win championships, but right now it still is that, but a big part of his offense. You need offense. I think a wide receiver at the end of the first round, depending on who's there. Obviously, we can't call things out before the draft, but if there's a wide receiver there, that'd be my option. But let's go through 2 and 3. To me, number 2, it's got to be linebacker. I think linebacker right now, and we've had this discussion, safeties, you can find those guys. And if you don't believe me, look at the top 10 safeties and see where they were drafted. It'll explain itself. You can find safeties later in the round, 3rd, 4th, even 2nd. You'll have that 2nd round pick easily. I think the linebacker position and the wide receiver position are my 2 you have to address positions. Because number 1, you could talk about free agency. We could talk about free agency all you want. $22 million in cap space for the Lions. I think the draft is where you find starters, and you have another 1st-round pick. It's selecting the best player available, but positional. If you're going to talk about positional, purposes, I'm going with the linebacker and the wide receiver. That's my 2 options. I would love to hear people in the chat as well. I know. Listen. Would I be mad if they went defense, maybe even defense the first 3 picks? No. But I think the wide receiver position is in a position you have to address, whether it's early in the first, late in the first, or early in the 2nd. I don't think the wide receiver position. Yes, you found him on Ross St. Brown in the 4th round, but I don't think that's the plan again. You don't wait till the 4th round to select a wide receiver. I think even last year, Brad Holmes was criticized for not taking a wide receiver higher up. He took Mon-Ra. It worked out perfectly. I think this year is the year you look for offensive skill positions, especially late in the 1st round. Linebacker, I won't have a problem with. Safety, though, I would wait. But those are my top 3, man. I'm going wide receiver, linebacker, safety. Any other position you want to discuss? I think there's other positions you certainly need depth at. Offensive line later in the draft. Maybe you need some depth at defensive line. Of course, you're going to address that, hopefully, with that 2nd overall pick. No Kyle Hamilton. So that'll leave you with a wide receiver and a linebacker. Those are my must-2 options for the Lions, definitely.
Linebacker made sense to me a few months ago. And again, the more I've watched back all these prospects, the more I've fallen in love with Micah McFadden out of Indiana. And I think that's someone I can grab in the 4th, 5th round based on these current projections and mock drafts.
Yeah.
So I don't need to take a linebacker maybe at 32, and I don't think the linebackers you at home and myself want will be available by 32, let's be honest. And what do you have to give up to trade up to get them? That's another question, right? I think wide receiver makes sense at the end of the 1st. Hell, I could argue they trade back and grab a 2nd round pick and maybe a 4th or 5th. Who knows? I mean, it's essentially a 2nd round pick anyways. And how many slots are you trading back, right? Are you going to the 10th pick in the 2nd round, the 12th, or the 5th, or the 7th? I mean, they're gonna have so many options. Mm-hmm. And I think regardless of what happens, I think there's going to be a receiver there where you're going to ask the question, should we take him?
Absolutely.
Could be yes or no. I can guarantee you at 32, again, who I don't know, but I can guarantee you one of the top 7, top 6, top 5 receivers will be there. And you'll need to make a tough call. Do we trade back? Do we trade up to get the guy we want instead? Or do we just let it fall at 32? 31 teams get to make a decision before you, basically. I think it's down to wide receiver And I don't even think safety. I think you could find a safety in the late second, third rounds, fourth rounds. I really do. I think you could find a McFadden in the fourth round and take a shot on him. If you can't get a Nakobe Dean, a Devin Lloyd. And I love Lloyd, by the way. I think he's going to be a stud. But regardless, you know, what do you have to trade to move up 10, 12 spots, 14 spots, 18 spots? We're not talking just, oh, we'll give you this year's second-round pick and call it even. No. No, when you trade up that much, I'm not sure. I'm not sure how much it'll cost you. You're going to have to be in the top 10 to get Devin Lloyd, I'll tell you that. Top 12, 14, 15 to get Nakobe Dean. You're trading up 15, 17, 20 slots? Good luck. Good luck. It's going to cost you a lot. I don't think they'll be able to trade up that much. I think they'll be able to trade up to 14, 18, 16 maybe.
But even then,
is it a quarterback they're going to take? Are they going to take Malik Willis at 2? Look, now, you've never seen Adam really upset. You know, Adam, where I'll burn this whole place down, Adam, where I'll put my head through that wall, or I'll find somebody outside to put their heads through this glass window right now. Now, Brad Holmes, again, I trust him. But if you see it and I see it, and I'm sure they see it, he's not worth a number 2 overall pick.
No. And people always say, like, well, he's not in discussion to be the number 2 overall, but you better read more and more mock drafts, because now it's not that the Lions were taking Malik Willis, but you have Malik Willis who slid to the middle of the first round. You had him in the 20s. Now you read another mock draft. He's somewhere in the 15s. And now the latest one, I've been reading, especially on different websites, he slides into the 10. So you have Malik Willis like creeping up and up the board. So it's like every more day we talk about Malik Willis, the possibility that he's going to be selected either outside the top 10 or in that top 10 becomes more and more realistic. So I think it's a worry that you absolutely should be worried about, Adam. Not that the Lions, I don't think the Lions will take him, but certainly he's going to be selected around that range. If not 2, but somewhere in that 10 area. So I think it's an absolute concern. But quarterback position is something that I don't think the Lions need to address, and that's the question. Will the Lions address it this year in the draft? And if they do, it's going to be in the first round. You have to. You have Sam Howell, Malik Willis, Kenny Pickett, I'm assuming, will be off the board. That's the question. Or will they hold pat and say, I'm okay with a wide receiver, I'm okay with the linebacker at 32, 34, or will they trade up and get a quarterback? And if they do, I think we'll both be pissed off. So,
yeah, look, I think it's a defensive-heavy draft in terms of what you're going to be taking. But guys, you know, you guys talk to me all the time is, well, TJ Watt fell to 30, Adam. This is a loaded defensive end class. Okay, fine. May I remind you the TJ Watt class? You know who went number 1 overall? Myles Garrett. I don't think anybody regrets that pick.
No.
Now, the Solomon Thomas pick at number 3, that hasn't worked out. I'll give you that. So is it Aiden or Thibodeau who aren't going to work out? Or do they both work out? Or do they both bust? You don't know that. I don't know that.
Yep.
You don't. Now was I believe, Kayvon Johnson, I believe his name is. Out of Virginia Tech, I believe. The end out of Virginia Tech. Is he the TJ Watt of this class? You can grab him mid-round? Look, guys, I mean, we can go back and forth on this all up until the draft, really. But you're going to need to address the defense. I'm not sending, and again, that's just my philosophy. You can disagree with that. I'm not sending Aaron Glenn out there without retooling the defense heavily this offseason. You know why? Because I saw what Ben Johnson could do with a limited offense and an injured offense. No Hawkinson, no Swift, no Jamal Williams. They figured it out. Okay, Amon-Ra St. Brown coming onto the scene. Cool. I don't mind waiting for a receiver, especially considering 3 of them have significant injuries and they may drop in the draft. So I can wait maybe till the second round. So I think I give Aaron Glenn as much ammunition as possible. That is my strategy. That's my philosophy this offseason. It really is. And to all you mock draft people out there, from the deepest part and bottom of my heart, I truly mean this. If I ever see any of you have a mock draft put out on social media with the Lions drafting Stingley, number 2 overall.
Oh my God.
Which we'll get to at 9:40. I will find you. And I will do things not nice. Whether it's via DM, Whether I just randomly show up at your house, I don't know. But I don't want to see that crap. That's not a mock draft. That's a dumb draft. Mock drafts aren't what you think is, good. No, you look at the teams, what they need, their past history. You look at their rosters. What makes the most sense for the Detroit Lions to do at number 2? That's what I would do, right? If I'm running a talent evaluation company or a social media account, or I'm doing something like that. Okay, I'm selecting one. Me personally, if you guys want to hear my top 5, right? My mock draft. Number 1 for the Jaguars, I'm likely taking Neal. I want to protect Trevor Lawrence, but if I can trade back, I would love to do that. But I'm not gonna entertain trade backs right now. Okay. So number 1 overall, I'm gonna take the tackle. Number 2, if I'm Detroit, right? I'm thinking Detroit. What do I need? I need an edge rusher. I can't trade back. I need an edge rusher. We took a corner at 3 not too long ago. We're going edge rusher here. There's 2 premier ones. Whether it's Aiden or Thibodeau, I don't care right now. Yeah. They get one of them. Cool. Now what? You go to number 3. Okay. Number 3. I don't even know. I think the point I'm getting at here, I don't even really care about who I select. The point is at least take into account what the team is, their roster, their makeup. Not just throw out names because they're talented players. Derek Stingley's a talented player. Kyle Hamilton's a very talented player.
Matters where you take them.
That doesn't mean you take them number 2 overall. Max Smith, Adam, I'm going to post a mock draft of only cornerbacks for the Lions. And I'm going to hire a private investigator to find out where you live. And I'm going to pay you a visit one of these days. And I hope nothing bad happens to you in the next few weeks because they'll probably use this as evidence against me, and then I'm pretty screwed. So, anyways. We got to go to break. I'm sorry. I love you, Max. Thanks for always commenting in the chat, by the way. I appreciate it. We got to go to break. When we get back, we're going to talk about the latest PFF mock draft that has the Detroit Lions selecting Derek Stingley at number 2.
Yeah.
Get ready.
For some reason, we're going to discuss that. But first, we need to talk about the Fulling Warehouse.
Well, guys, Fulling, and a great opportunity, number 1, not only for competition, but now that football's over, you can get that feeling. You go to Fulling Warehouse in Hamtramck, home of the original football bowling pin game called Fulling. And you can host your corporate party, your team building event, or you can just come in with family and friends. There's 2 ways to play. You either have the $10 unlimited open play or a private lane reservation for $120 for up to 10 people for 2 hours. They have over 100 beers, our $2 mystery beer machine, and multiple full bars. Come check it out. You bring the food or have it delivered in. Come get your full on. Check it out at thefullingwarehouse.com.
6 dark corners, a driveway and a patio, 5 windows that could become doors. Every house has unique security challenges. Guardian Alarm has more tech, more team, and more ways to help keep them all safe. Get a professionally designed and installed security and smart home system from Guardian Alarm. Sign up today and get a free video device. Guardian Alarm. Smart, right from the start. Call 1-800-STAY-OUT.
Comerica Park, sunshine, the crack of the bat. More sunshine, warmth. We're almost there, Detroit. Summer 2022 will be the summer of Woodward sports. We just gotta make it through this damn cold first.
Welcome back. Thanks for joining us on the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. Adam's about to get a little crazy here, so I'm just going to let you have this one. Adam, what do you think about the latest mock draft?
PFF came out with their latest mock draft, guys, and they do a hell of a job over there. Eric Stingley, number 2 overall, man. Number 2 overall.
Is this some kind of sick joke?
You know what? I honestly, I'm starting to believe there's a conspiracy out in the media to just piss me off.
just piss all Lions fans off. Really, a corner number 2.
Jokes aside, I mean, the Stingley thing, I think that's a bit egregious. Come on. Look, I'm willing to entertain a Kyle Hamilton conversation, right? Because I think the other side makes good points, as do I. So I'm willing to have a conversation at least on Kyle Hamilton, but I'll give you my reasons why I don't think so. Well, with Stingley, I think it's off limits. That's not even a thing. A corner at 2? I may shoot myself live on the show. Yeah, I'm not joking. We're hosting a draft party that night. We'll be live reacting to the Lions picks.
Oh, I'm worried.
Derek Stingley selected number 2 overall. There's a 9mm bullet going through my head that night. And it ain't coming from anybody in the building. It's coming from myself. Jesus.
I don't even know. Listen,
Derek Stingley at 2, Jeff?
It's
I mean,
wild.
come on. I want to look at these mock drafts. And, look, again, I'm willing to have a conversation even about Malik Willis.
Yeah.
I'm willing to entertain and have a conversation with you even if I disagree. Derek Stingley at number 2? Just trade the pick for a cheeseburger and fry while you're at it.
Ooh, wee. That's pretty good. Not as good as the poutine, though.
I don't understand the Stingley move. The guy who put it out, Seth Galina. I'm sure you're a nice guy. I'm sure if we talked, we'd probably have a good conversation. But you have the Lions taking Derek Stingley a corner at number 2 after they just took Jeff Okudah at number 3 not too long ago, and this fan base is ready to riot because of that pick. When that pick could have been Tua or Justin Herbert, like most fans wanted. But no, it was more important for Sheila to put on, well, they need to win now that season, right? Win now expectations. So they go out and draft a corner instead of thinking about the team's future, because clearly they weren't winning with Matthew Stafford. All right, Adam. I know you felt that way too when we did this Okudah debacle. I feel it. I get it. But shooting yourself isn't the answer. I don't know, Samuel. I really do think it is. They take Stingley at number 2. I'll see you guys later. I'm done.
Well,
I'm done.
See you later.
I'm done. It's done. It's a show for me. I'm retiring for good.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about retiring. I'm going to go sit on the beach and smoke a cigar. I mean, I'm checked out. I'm 6 feet under. I'm done. Not taking a corner at number 2.
You know what the tough draw between is, like, you want to trust Brad Holmes and you want to say, like, easily his first year as the GM and who he selected. I want to sit here and say I trust whatever decision he's making, but there's 2 decisions that will not sit well with me: Malik Willis at number 2, or anywhere in the top 10 for that matter from the Lions' perspective, and drafting a secondary player at number 2. That's the issues I have. I respect Brad. Anything he does, I'm going to sit here and say, well, I trust the process. I will not trust that process. Drafting a secondary player at number 2, Kyle Hamilton or Derek Stingley, and the other one being taking a quarterback in top 10. Like, I don't know. That doesn't sit well with me. And I think, Lions fans, of course, remember the Jeff Okudah thing always comes into play because you selected him 3rd overall, and what he's been for the Lions kind of gives you that PTSD feeling.
Can I ask you a question?
Does. What's up?
Let's say I'm willing to disregard the Jeff Okudah thing, right? Let's say I erase it from my memory bank. Can I ask you a simple question? And I'd like all of you to answer at home, too.
Absolutely.
What is today's NFL made for? Who has the advantage, wide receivers or corners?
It's always going to be wide receivers.
I'm gonna just answer.
Right now, yes, absolutely.
Tight ends or corners?
It's always going to be tight ends. Offensive players.
Offensive players have the advantage.
Yes, they do.
Quarterbacks have the advantage. Jalen Ramsey, for as good as he is and as great as he was throughout the season, he got beat multiple times, not only in the Super Bowl, but the entire playoffs. I brought up Jesse Bates. You guys brought up that. Well, Adam, he had an interception in the Super Bowl. It was the most meaningless interception. It was a punt. It was essentially a punt. What'd he do outside of catch a Hail Mary pass? What'd he do? Nothing. Nothing. Where was he shadowing Cooper Kupp and making sure he wasn't getting open? Oh, wait, you can't guard wide receivers in today's NFL. I forgot. No matter how gifted or skilled you are. And he's a top 7 safety in the NFL. Look, when it comes to Kyle Hamilton, I'm willing to have a conversation with you. Whether it's Luke, Easy, any of you Kyle Hamilton people. I'll have a conversation with you. That's fine. You can pitch me him all you want.
And I like him.
And I'm willing to listen. I think he's got great... He is a great prospect.
Yeah.
I'm not taking him at number 2. Now, if you're the GM, you want to take him at number 2, be my guest. You'll be out of a job, I think, in 3-5 years.
If he's not Hall of Famer for sure talent. I mean, listen,
it's not if, it's so unlikely. In today's NFL, I just told you guys, you win with the front office. Basically, you win. You need a GM, you need a head coach, you need a quarterback. You need to protect the quarterback. You need to get to the opposing team's quarterback, and you need to have skill position players. Doesn't that sound like the Bills, the Chiefs, the Bucks, the Rams? Doesn't it sound like all the best teams in the NFL? The Packers? Oh, yeah, it does. The Packers went 13-4 without Jareer Alexander, their best defensive player all season. Zadarius Smith, they went 13-4 without him all season. They compensated on defense. Players stepped up. Players that you've never heard of that were drafted in the 3rd, 4th, 5th round. So, yeah. I don't think drafting a safety or a corner in the top 3 is responsible. I don't. And again, I'm going to read this off one more time. And I love the comment Justin just made because it's so true. Everybody clamoring for a trade down, we all agree with you. Would love to trade down in this situation. Who's trading up? Nobody.
Yeah.
There is no quarterback.
Not the Giants. Not the
Not
Eagles,
the Jets. I'm not giving up the 5th and 7th pick to move up to 2. It's not worth it.
Absolutely
I'm getting 2 of the top 7 prospects, quote unquote, in the draft. I'm happy. But anyways, let me read this off to you guys. I'm going to read it one more time. The top 7 safeties in the NFL this season. Minkah Fitzpatrick, selected 13th overall.
Wow.
Tyrann Mathieu, 69th overall. Justin Simmons, Denver Broncos safety, 98th overall. Budda Baker, 36th overall. Harrison Smith, 29th overall. Marcus Williams, 42nd overall. Jesse Bates, 54th overall. Now, can Kyle Hamilton be better than all of them? I think that is a fair argument for you to make. I have no problem with that. You're going to select him number 2 overall? Tracy Walker is a good corner. Excuse me, a good safety. He was drafted 84th, 82nd, one of the two. He was a 3rd round pick. You can find value at that position later in the draft. Now, of course, you want to use the hindsight argument. Well, Adam, if he's Ed Reed, wouldn't you have drafted Ed Reed number 1 overall? It's a different game now. It's a different game. If this is 1999, 2000, and Kyle Hamilton's on the board, and he's the best prospect going out in the draft, I think he goes 1, 2, or 3 overall. I do. Different game now. Defensive players play with a disadvantage. That's the truth. And that's just the truth. And Myles Garrett, a big factor why they made the postseason last year. The Browns. TJ Watt is the reason why they didn't have a losing season out in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Aaron Donald won them a Super Bowl.
Close.
Von Miller got them to a Super Bowl. A'Shawn Robinson, Greg Gaines. Trey Hendrickson, the most impactful signing the Bengals made. Everyone talks about Chase, Higgins, Burrow. Hendrickson, X factor for the Bengals.
Yeah.
The Chiefs, when they were good, D Ford. They had an edge rusher. I'm going to say it one more time, and I hope you guys truly listen.
Yep.
I really do. In the NFL, you need the front office, you need the head coach, you need the quarterback. And once you got those 3, you need to protect the quarterback, you need to give the quarterback weapons, and most importantly, the only defensive aspect is you need to get to the opposing team's quarterback. Because if you just drop back in zone and think you're going to win the big games throughout a regular season and the playoffs, good luck. Good luck. Jonathan Abrams, he's one of the better safeties in the NFL. We know Jonathan. Friend of the network. Great guy. Supremely talented safety. You're not taking him number 2 overall. And if you go back, you aren't drafting. You just aren't drafting these guys that high. And that's my biggest problem with it. I really do. I really do. Guys, I don't want to overcomplicate this. But you know what? I see a lot of comments in the chat. So I'm going to end this a little early. And let's get into mailbag.
Let's do it.
All right, let's take some questions.
Feel free to call.
Feel free to call 313. Jeff will type it in the chat. 552-6322. Or leave a comment in the chat. Once we get back from the break, we're going to answer your questions. But Jeff, could you do us all a favor first? Tell us about our good friends
I can. Well, guys, Sports Marketing Agency, it's the place to go for anybody who needs help. SMA has been leveraging pro athletes and other notables for a decade against the issues around mental health and substance use disorder. You see all of those who are involved. Devin Gardner, Mike Yalili, Lomas Brown, and Braylon Edwards, our guy. And listen, with the help of NFL alumni, Sean Jordan has been able to take a stand, save lives against all of these issues. And soon, coming to Woodward Sports, the Sports Marketing Agency podcast named This is the F Word series on fentanyl. If you are struggling with substance abuse or mental health, they are here to help. Go to thesportsma.com and please tell them Woodward Sports sent you.
Life is full of hard choices. We're here to make one of life's biggest decisions as simple as possible. My name is Christina Gennari, and for over 20 years, I've helped hundreds of families buy and sell homes. We cover all of Metro Detroit and more, from large luxury homes to starter homes. We will work hard to make sure that you get the home of your dreams. So if you're in the market today or even thinking about buying or selling in the future, make the obvious choice. Christina Gennari, the obvious choice in real estate. Visit us at soldchristina.com today.
Make sure you're listening to Woodward Sports all day long. Start your morning with the Morning Woodward Show. Spend middays with Big D Energy. Watch and listen your drive home with the Bottom Line. And don't forget about Woodward Bets Daily. All live, all right here on the Woodward Sports Network.
Woo. Welcome back to the Morning Woodward Show, and we have a lot to discuss. Anybody in the chat who, number one, Kyle Hamilton lovers, at number two, any questions, who the Lions should draft in the first round, please, if you're not going to comment in the chat, please call us. Numbers in the chat, I posted it in there. Anybody's available to call, and I do see the questions coming in. Easy, I see you defending Kyle Hamilton. You need to call in. I'm calling people out. Let's have a discussion. Let's start with the first question. What do we got here? This is a question for Adam. Let's say the Lions trade back to 4 and can't trade again. The first 3 picks are Hamilton, Thibodeau, and Hutchinson. Who do you take at 4? Which I will stop you right there because I don't think they'll trade back to 4. That's a tough spot to be in. You're going to lose 2 of the 3, or 3 out of the 3 best prospects we discussed. After that, Adam, do you have a specific guy you'd like at 4 after that? Because, listen, I'll tell you this. If Kayvon Thibodeau, Aiden Hutchinson, and Kyle Hamilton are off the board at 3, all 3, and you trade back to 4. I don't know why you trade back to 4, but he says who's the prospect you're in love with at 4 if those 3 are off the board.
If those 3 are off the board, I mean, you're either taking a Devin Lloyd. That's a tough one. That really is. Kyle Hamilton, all 3 defensive studs are gone, huh?
I don't think they trade back to 4.
I don't. Again, it's such a hypothetical.
Yeah.
What do I get?
And who wants to come up?
And who's coming up from 4? Who has the 4th overall pick this year? I don't even think that would add up. I get the hypothetical, but I'm not sure I'm following. Who has the number 4 pick?
It would be the Jets. And
the Jets are not giving 4 and 10 to trade up to 2.
Unless they're absolutely in love with the player, but they have multiple first-round picks. So
even then, they're not. They won't give up 2. The Jets can easily walk away with Thibodeau, Hamilton, and a Lloyd or Dean if they wanted to. That's the Jets' reality.
And I think
it's not the Lions. I appreciate the hypothetical. It's a tough one, to be honest. I don't think I can give you an honest answer because that would be extremely difficult. I would lean Lloyd. There's the D tackle, obviously, Leal. So, I mean, there are options, not bad options. But damn, that would be a hell of a board. I'll tell you that. That would be a hell of a board. All right, what's up, Fish?
We have 2 callers this morning.
All right, who's the first one? What's his name?
You want to go with Eric? Let's go with Eric from Detroit. And
all right, Eric from Detroit.
Live.
Thank you for calling in. What's your question today, this morning?
What's going on, guys?
What's going on? How you doing, man?
Man, I'm good. I love the show. I'm thinking this. I'm with y'all on I ain't taking no quarterback at 2.
Mm-hmm.
I love Hutchinson. I don't trust Thibodeau, injury history. But if I could get some sucker team to draft up, like I say, I love Willis or Pickett, and they jump up to get them, I'd take a haul to draft to go back.
Mm-hmm. But
to probably 5.
The question is who's trading up to get those quarterbacks? Because we understand teams are going to fall in love with quarterbacks. Yep. And the question is who's going to trade up to take a Malik Willis, to take a, whoever it is, Sam Howell in that top 2.
Do you think somebody like, where's Carolina drafting? Or the Giants? Do y'all really think the Giants trust, as much as they say they do. I don't think they trust Daniel Jones. And they got a new GM and new head coach.
You're absolutely correct, but I would argue that the Giants have the 5th overall pick. If they don't trade at all, I think either of the quarterbacks will fall to them, and they also have another first-round pick. They have the 7th. So could I argue they could wait and stand pat and take a quarterback regardless?
Which is true, but we know every season, once the combine comes, once workouts come, team workouts come, a quarterback, 2 or 3 quarterback always rise. You get dudes. Look how Zach Wilson rose last year out of the ashes.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
And he became the number 2. So people are desperate. Teams are desperate. But my pick, it will be Hutchinson. And I got Hutchinson and Hamilton as my 2 best players at the top. After that, maybe David Lloyd. But
I like it.
It's a crapshoot. Yeah. Even if your DN don't work out, people gonna say, "Well, he a bust." So pretty much, you have to hit on one of these picks.
That's a great point. I think in your argument, Hutchinson being your number 1 prospect, I think that's the argument, is that he's probably the only guy out of those 3. You could argue Cal Hamilton that isn't, or is a for sure not going to bust. Like, you think Aiden Hutchins, you're getting what you draft. And I get what you're saying about Kayvon.
We need to stop talking about who's going to bust and who's going to hit. It doesn't, for me, that's not what I look at. Like, you don't look at a player and say, "Oh, he's a bust."
He could.
You look at where they're taken and what team they're going to. And you think, okay, are they going to fit properly? Is it a good fit? Will they succeed? Are they supported correctly? What does Kyle Hamilton do in a Detroit Lions uniform? Stand back there and try to cover wide receivers and wide receivers and tight ends for 7-8 seconds because the pass rushers can't get to the quarterback? Oh, that's so fair.
Yeah.
Extremely fair. And you saw what Matthew Stafford and all these other quarterbacks can do in today's league now. Whether they're mobile, ability to throw no-look passes, they manipulate the hell out of safeties and corners now. It's always been a thing. And Thibodeau, yeah, he looks like a stud. So does Aiden Hutchinson. You can't go wrong. Like, I'm not going to be upset when it comes to the pick. But can we at least acknowledge one position holds much more value than the other, and one position is more impactful on the football field than the other, which is the end. The ends are more impactful and important to an NFL defense than the safety. The safety is the last line of defense. The linemen are the first. What do you think is more important? Reacting in the back or proactively getting to the quarterback? Proactively hitting guys in the backfield for a loss? I just don't think it's even close. I really don't. Thanks for the call, though. I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. Let's move on to some questions in the chat. Let's see. What do we got here in the chat? Adam wants us to take a linebacker in the late first, early second. Who are your top 5 linebacker prospects today? That's a good question. I'll tell you what. I'll give you my obvious top 2 are going to be Lloyd and Dean in that order. I think Lloyd is better. And I think the guy I'd like to trade for, or excuse me, I'd like to snag later in the draft, would be Micah McFadden from Indiana. That's the guy, that's the linebacker that I see later on that I think is going to be a good pick for whoever ends up taking him. Whew. Jeff, what other questions do we have in here today?
We have, let me look here. Man, you guys are everyone seems to be on the discussion of guys trading up for the quarterback. That's there's no question.
I don't see how possible the quarterback is for $30 million.
Oh, look, who's the next Bengals team next season to make a magical run, not counting the Lions? Bengals-esque run. That's tough.
Bengals-esque run? Well, you got to see the teams that have a quarterback that didn't make the playoffs, right? And that's the Russell Wilson-led Seahawks.
Mm-hmm.
But again, they've been successful before. It's a great question. Off the top of my head, I really couldn't give you an answer. I feel I have a biased opinion because we got to watch Hutch play all season. I've never watched Tib play a single snap. Anthony, I think that's a fair point to bring up. I'm glad you did bring that up. I think there's more to it. Look, I think they're both going to be studs. I really do. One has an extremely high motor, extremely successful his last year in college. The other, extremely gifted, extremely talented, high ceiling. Can't go wrong. You really can't. Let's see. How do you like my mock draft? Hutchinson, edge rusher. Ibitki, edge rusher. Muma, linebacker. Tolber, wide receiver.
I like Muma.
Moore, wide receiver. McFadden, linebacker. Strong, running back. Woods, tight end. Interesting. Look, I mean, every mock draft, I'm sure everyone does. They probably feel really good about it. Adam, what do you think about linebacker Asamoah in the 3rd round? I don't mind him. Again, when we're talking about 3rd round, I just need production. I'm not looking for a Pro Bowl caliber, Hall of Fame caliber player. If I get good production from you, if you can make a few impact plays throughout a course of a season and be consistent all season, I've won that draft pick.
Yeah.
I don't need Amon-Ra St. Brown to be a Hall of Fame player. I need him to be productive, which he was towards the end of the year. Now, was it a lot more productive than you'd imagine? Of course, but beyond the point. 4th round player. Value. I need value. Guys, that's it for the morning show today. Thank you so much for calling. I'm sorry if we didn't get to your calls. For everybody on hold, we'll get to you tomorrow, I promise. We'll run it back again during Mailbag. Again, we'll get some more callers for tomorrow. Thank you all again. Have a great Wednesday. We'll see you tomorrow, Thursday, jam-packed show like usual. Special guest on tomorrow. Jeremy Reisman will be joining the Morning Woodward Show from Pride of Detroit. Going to be fun, Jeff. Going to be fun. Guys, take care. Derek Stingley at 2. Hell no. We'll see you later.